A struggling waitress saw her first love walk in unaware. He was the millionaire who owned it. Hello everyone. Before we begin today's story, I have a small favor to ask. Please hit subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you never miss our channel's new videos. It's quick, free, and the best way to support us in bringing you more dramatic stories. Your support means the world to us. Where are you watching from? Drop your city or country in the comments below. Thank you very much. Now, let's dive into today's story. Imagine this. You're a waitress, struggling to make ends meet, when suddenly, the man you once loved walks into your restaurant. But here's the catch, he's not just any man. What happens next will change everything you thought you knew about him and about yourself. Stay tuned, because the truth is about to be revealed. After running out of the restaurant, Emma couldn't stop her heart from pounding. She didn't even have the courage to look back. The awkwardness of the situation weighed on her as she hurried out into the cold night air, her breath coming in quick, shallow gasps. She could feel the warmth from the restaurant fading behind her, replaced by the chill of the street. Her phone buzzed again, but she ignored it. She had already made a fool of herself once tonight. She didn't need to deal with another message from Jenny. As she walked through the empty streets, her mind raced. She couldn't believe she'd sat at the wrong table. She couldn't believe she'd run out on a complete stranger. It wasn't like her. She was usually so careful, so cautious. But something about Liam had made her nervous. There was something about him that felt different. She wasn't sure what it was. She couldn't put her finger on it. She never expected to see him again. She never thought she would have to. But somehow she couldn't shake the feeling that she hadn't seen the last of him. The next day, Emma found herself back at the restaurant, working her shift. The usual noise of the place, the clattering of dishes, the hum of conversations was familiar. But today it felt different. She kept replaying the events of the night before in her head. She couldn't stop thinking about Liam, even though she knew she should. She shouldn't have been so embarrassed. She shouldn't have run out. But the thought of him, sitting there so poised and confident, had made her feel small. She couldn't help but feel out of place in a world that was so different from hers. The warm light from the restaurant's chandeliers did little to ease her nerves. The phone in her pocket buzzed again. Jenny. She sighed and answered it, her voice weary. "Hello?" she said, trying to sound normal. "Emma, where are you?" "I'm at work," Emma replied, glancing around at the quiet dining room. "What's up?" she asked, her heart still racing from the previous night. "I told you to be careful with those blind dates. You never know who you're meeting. But listen, you won't believe this." "What do you mean?" Emma asked, her curiosity piqued despite herself. "I just saw something online. There's a gala tonight. Liam Parker is the guest of honor. You know, the guy who owns the restaurant you work at. I think he's a tech millionaire." "Wait. Liam Parker?" "Yes," Jenny exclaimed. "He's the one who owns the whole place. I can't believe you didn't recognize him. That's the guy from last night." "Emma, you've been talking to him." Jenny's voice was filled with disbelief. Emma felt the blood rush to her face. She was both shocked and mortified. She had shared personal details of her life with him, told him about her struggles, her dreams, but he hadn't said a word about who he really was. He had let her believe he was just another customer. "I can't believe it," Emma muttered, her mind racing. She looked around the restaurant, half expecting him to walk in any minute. "I have to go. Talk to you later," she said quickly, hanging up before Jenny could say anything else. She had to process this. Liam Parker wasn't just some guy she sat next to on a blind date. He was the man who held the keys to everything she had ever dreamed of. He could change her life with just one word. And yet he had been silent about who he really was. Later that evening, Emma's shift ended, and she found herself standing in front of the mirror in her small apartment, staring at her reflection. She had been thinking about him all day. Her thoughts were tangled, her emotions all over the place. How could she have been so foolish? How could she not have recognized him? Was he testing her? Did he see her as just another person to play with? Another small-time worker in a world so far removed from his own? Or had he really seen her as someone worth knowing? She couldn't shake the feeling that something was there between them, something real. But what did he think? Was he interested in her? Or was she just a passing encounter for him? Emma shook her head and sighed, then grabbed her coat. She couldn't keep thinking about him. She had her own life to live, her own dreams to pursue. But as she stepped out the door, she found herself walking toward the direction of the restaurant, her heart beating faster with each step. She didn't know why, but she had a feeling she would see Liam again soon. And when she did, she would have to face the truth. The next day, Emma walked into the restaurant with a heavy heart. She tried to act normal, but the tension in the air was palpable. As she went about her work, she found herself stealing glances at the back door, wondering if he would walk in. And then, at last, he did. Liam Parker, the man she had been trying so hard to forget, stood in the doorway, looking every bit the powerful, charismatic CEO she had imagined. But this time, there was no misunderstanding. She knew who he was, and this time, things were going to be different. Emma's heart skipped a beat as Liam Parker walked into the restaurant. There he was, the man she had unknowingly shared such an intimate conversation with just days ago, now standing in front of her in a tailored suit that only accentuated his wealth. He looked every bit the millionaire she had just discovered him to be. His presence felt like a collision of two worlds: his, polished and powerful, and hers, humble and struggling. She took a deep breath and quickly looked away, not wanting him to see the emotions swirling inside her. She was nervous, but she couldn't let it show. She had to act like everything was fine, like she didn't know the truth about him, even though every fiber of her being was screaming at her to confront him. As she moved across the room, she caught Liam's eyes briefly. His expression softened as he watched her approach. She forced herself to smile, trying to hide the awkwardness that bubbled up inside her. "Hi, Liam," she said, keeping her tone casual, even though her heart was racing. "It's good to see you again." Liam nodded, his gaze lingering on her for a moment longer than necessary. "Emma," he replied, his voice calm but with an undertone of something more, something she couldn't quite place. "I didn't expect to see you working today." Her hands shook slightly as she adjusted her apron. "It's my shift," she said, trying to keep things light. "What can I get for you today?" There was a pause, a brief silence between them that felt heavy with unspoken words. Liam didn't speak right away, his gaze still fixed on her. Emma shifted her weight, feeling the heat of his stare. She couldn't help but feel that he saw right through her, that he knew exactly what was going through her mind. She couldn't pretend that everything was normal, not with him standing there, looking so different from the man she had mistaken for a regular guy only days before. Finally, Liam broke the silence. "I'll have the special," he said, his voice steady. "But let's make it a little more interesting. How about we take this conversation somewhere more private?" Emma's heart skipped another beat. She wasn't sure if she was ready for whatever he was implying, but she couldn't back down now. She forced herself to nod, though her mind was spinning. "Sure," she said, swallowing hard. "I'll meet you at the bar in a few minutes." As she turned to walk away, she felt Liam's eyes on her, and it made her skin tingle. She tried to shake off the feeling, focusing on her duties as a waitress. The rest of her shift passed in a blur, her thoughts constantly drifting back to Liam. What did he want from her? What was going to happen when they finally sat down together? She couldn't stop thinking about the gala and how she had learned his true identity. But now, as the hours dragged on, she had a sinking feeling that there was more to the story, more to him than she could ever have imagined. By the time her shift was over, Emma found herself standing by the bar, nervously adjusting her uniform. She wasn't sure what to expect, but she knew that the moment she sat down with Liam, things would change. She could feel the weight of the situation pressing down on her, but there was also a strange sense of excitement. She had no idea where this would lead, but she knew that she couldn't walk away from it. She had to know what Liam wanted, why he was so intrigued by her. When Liam walked into the bar area, she couldn't help but notice the way he commanded attention. His presence was magnetic, the way he moved through the space, confident and composed. Yet there was something else in his eyes, something deeper, something that made her feel like she was about to dive into a world she didn't belong in. He walked up to her, his smile soft but knowing, as if he had been waiting for this moment for a long time. "You look beautiful tonight, Emma," he said, his voice low, almost intimate. "I wasn't sure if you'd come, but I'm glad you did." Emma's breath caught in her throat. She wasn't used to hearing compliments like that, especially not from someone like him. She forced herself to smile, trying to keep the conversation light. "I'm here now," she said, her voice trembling slightly. "What's this all about, Liam? Why did you want to talk to me?" Liam took a seat across from her, his eyes never leaving hers. "There's something I've been wanting to say to you," he began, his tone serious now, the playful glint in his eyes replaced with something more sincere. "I wasn't completely honest with you the other day, Emma. I didn't tell you who I really am, and I owe you an explanation." Emma's heart beat faster as she listened. She wasn't sure what to expect, but the suspense was killing her. She had so many questions, so many things she wanted to ask him, but she stayed quiet, waiting for him to continue. "The truth is," Liam said, pausing for a moment as if to gather his thoughts, "I'm not just a regular guy in tech. I own the restaurant you work at, and I'm the CEO of a tech company that's worth more than you could imagine. But none of that matters to me. What matters is what I saw in you that night, your honesty, your passion, and your dreams. I want to help you, Emma. I want to see you succeed." He leaned in slightly, his voice lowering. "And I want to do that with you, if you'll let me." Emma was stunned into silence. She had never expected this. Never in a million years would she have guessed that Liam Parker, the man she thought was just a random guy, would turn out to be the key to everything she had ever dreamed of. Emma sat there in stunned silence, her mind racing as Liam's words echoed in her head. The man who had seemed so ordinary to her, the one she had shared stories of struggle and dreams with, was not ordinary at all. He was the owner of the restaurant, a tech millionaire, and now he was offering to help her realize the very dreams she had once thought impossible. A mix of disbelief and excitement filled her chest as she tried to process everything he had just said. She had no idea how to respond, her emotions a whirlwind of confusion and hope. "I don't know what to say," Emma whispered, her voice barely above a breath. "You're a millionaire, and you want to help me?" Her heart raced as she tried to make sense of his offer. "Why? Why would you want to help someone like me?" Liam smiled softly, his eyes never leaving hers. "Because I see something in you, Emma. I see someone who doesn't give up, someone who fights for what she believes in. You have passion, and that's something rare. I've been successful in business, but success without meaning, without something real to hold on to, it feels hollow. I want to make a difference, not just for myself, but for people like you, who have real dreams but need a little help to make them come true." Emma felt her breath catch in her throat. His words struck a chord deep inside her, something she didn't even know she needed to hear. But at the same time, doubts crept into her mind. Could she trust him? Could she really take this leap into his world, a world that felt so foreign and unattainable to her? "I don't know," she murmured, her hands twisting together nervously. "I don't know if I can accept this. It just feels too big." Liam leaned forward, his expression sincere, and for a moment there was no hint of his wealth or his status, just a man offering something real. "I understand," he said softly. "But you have to remember, Emma, you don't have to do it alone. You don't have to carry the weight of your dreams by yourself. I've been where you are, fighting for every inch, unsure of what's next, afraid of making the wrong move. But I've learned that sometimes you have to trust someone to help you get where you want to go." Emma swallowed hard, her mind a blur of thoughts. She had always been independent, always done everything herself, never asking for help. But there was something about Liam's honesty, his genuine desire to help her, that made her heart ache with the possibility of a different future. "But what do you want in return?" she asked, her voice trembling with uncertainty. "You're offering all this, but I don't understand why. What's the catch?" Liam chuckled softly, his smile warm and reassuring. "No catch, Emma. I just want to see you succeed. I've been in your shoes, struggling to make ends meet, wanting something more but not knowing how to get there. If I can be the person who helps you get there, then that's enough for me. I'm not asking for anything in return but your trust." She stared at him, trying to process his words, trying to believe what he was saying. Could it really be that simple? Was this a dream, a fantasy she had built up in her mind? But the look in his eyes, the sincerity, the patience made her wonder if it wasn't. It made her wonder if, maybe for the first time in her life, someone believed in her the way she had always wanted to believe in herself. For a long moment, neither of them spoke. The noise of the bar seemed to fade into the background, and all Emma could hear was the sound of her own heartbeat thumping in her ears. Slowly, her doubts began to melt away, replaced by something else, something new, something exciting. She wasn't sure where this would lead, but she knew one thing for sure. This was her chance to take the leap. Finally, she met Liam's gaze, her decision clear in her eyes. "Okay," she said, her voice quiet but steady. "I'll trust you. I'll take the chance." Liam's smile grew wider, and for a brief moment the world around them seemed to fade away. "I promise, Emma, you won't regret it." Yongguang. As they stood up to leave the bar together, Emma couldn't help but feel a flutter of excitement in her chest. She had no idea what the future held, but for the first time in a long time, she felt like it was full of possibility. With Liam by her side, maybe, just maybe, her dreams were within reach. And as they walked out into the night, the world felt just a little bit smaller, a little bit brighter, and a lot more full of hope. The days that followed felt like a whirlwind to Emma. The decision she had made to trust Liam, to accept his help, changed everything. What she had once seen as impossible now felt like a real possibility. She was no longer just a waitress struggling to make ends meet. She was someone with a chance to create something more, something that mattered. Liam had kept his word, showing up for her in ways she hadn't expected. They spent hours talking about her dreams, about her vision of opening an art studio, a space where people could connect with creativity, a place where she could finally be the artist she had always wanted to be. At first, Emma couldn't believe how generous Liam was with his time and resources. He had connected her with people in the art world, introduced her to potential investors, and even offered to help fund her project. She had never thought that someone like him, someone with so much power and wealth, could care about her or her dreams, but Liam had proved her wrong every day. He didn't treat her like a charity case. He treated her like an equal, as if she had something valuable to offer the world. One afternoon, Liam invited Emma to a small gallery opening he was hosting. It wasn't a grand event, just a quiet gathering of people who appreciated art and creativity. Liam's company had sponsored the event, and the walls were filled with paintings, sculptures, and photographs from local artists. Emma was both excited and nervous. She had never been to an event like this before, let alone one where she would be surrounded by people of Liam's caliber. As they walked through the gallery, Liam introduced her to several people, all of whom seemed genuinely interested in her thoughts on the artwork. Emma couldn't help but feel out of place at times, but Liam was always there, by her side, making her feel like she belonged. "You belong here, Emma," Liam said quietly as they admired a painting together. "You belong in this world of art, just as much as anyone else. Don't ever let anyone make you feel otherwise." His words warmed her heart, and for the first time, she truly believed that she could make her dream of opening a studio a reality. But as much as Liam's support meant to her, there was still a part of her that hesitated. She wasn't used to having someone believe in her this much. It felt almost too good to be true. Later that evening, after the gallery had emptied out and the two of them were walking to Liam's car, Emma took a deep breath. She had something she needed to say, something that had been weighing on her since they first met. "Liam," she began, her voice a little shaky, I don't know how to thank you for everything. You've given me so much already, and I don't even know how to repay you. I don't want you to think that I'm taking advantage of you. This is all so new to me, and sometimes I feel like I don't deserve all of this." Liam stopped walking and turned to face her, his eyes soft but serious. "Emma," he said gently, "you don't have to repay me. I'm not doing this because I expect anything in return. I'm doing this because I believe in you, and I want to see you succeed. You've earned every bit of help I've given you, and more, never doubt that." His words sank into her heart, and for the first time, Emma allowed herself to believe that she deserved this. She deserved the chance to follow her dreams, to build something meaningful for herself. She didn't have to carry the weight alone anymore. Liam had shown her that. As they drove through the quiet streets of the city, Emma looked out the window, her mind swirling with possibilities. She had a long way to go, and the road ahead wouldn't be easy, but for the first time in a long time, she felt like she was heading in the right direction. She had a plan, a purpose, and most importantly, she had someone who believed in her. And maybe, just maybe, that was all she needed to make her dreams come true. When they reached her apartment, Liam turned to her and smiled. "I'll be here every step of the way, Emma," he said. "Whenever you need me, you know where to find me." Emma smiled back, her heart swelling with gratitude. "Thank you, Liam," she said softly. "I don't know what the future holds, but I'm ready for it. I'm ready to do this, and I'm ready to do it on my own terms." Kom igjen. As she stepped out of the car and walked up to her apartment, Emma couldn't help but feel like the weight of the world had been lifted off her shoulders. For the first time in a long time, she felt hopeful. And for the first time ever, she felt like she was exactly where she was supposed to be. Weeks passed by in a blur for Emma, each day feeling like a step forward as she worked tirelessly to make her dreams a reality. With Liam's support, she had gained the confidence to begin laying the groundwork for her art studio. The connections he had helped her make opened doors she never thought possible, and slowly, but surely, things were falling into place. Her vision of creating a space where people could gather, create, and share their passion for art was beginning to take form. It felt like a dream, but every day she woke up with a new sense of purpose, determined to make it happen. But as Emma took each step toward her future, there were moments when the weight of it all felt overwhelming. There were so many decisions to make, so many risks to take. Some days, she doubted herself, questioning whether she was really capable of pulling it all off. Would the studio be successful? Would people even come? What if it all fell apart? There were so many unknowns, but there was one thing she was sure of: she wasn't going to give up. She had come too far, and Liam's faith in her had given her the strength to push through even when the doubts crept in. One evening, after a long day of meetings and planning, Emma found herself sitting at the same bar where she and Liam had shared that pivotal conversation weeks ago. She needed a break, a moment to breathe and clear her head. As she sipped her drink, she glanced around the room, feeling the weight of the past few weeks settle into her shoulders. It had been a lot to handle on her own, but she had made it this far. She had come so far, and it was all thanks to Liam. She was so lost in thought that she didn't even notice when Liam walked into the bar, his presence as commanding as ever. He spotted her immediately and made his way over, his usual confident stride interrupted only by the warmth of his smile when he saw her sitting there. "Hey, there you are," he said, his voice easygoing as he slid into the seat next to her. "I was starting to wonder if you'd forgotten about me." He chuckled lightly, but Emma could sense the genuine concern in his tone. She smiled back, trying to keep the conversation light. "No, I haven't forgotten," Emma replied, her voice tired but soft. "Just needed a moment to myself, you know. They're moving fast, a lot to juggle." Liam leaned in slightly, his eyes filled with understanding. "I get it," he said quietly. "You've been working hard. I'm really proud of everything you've accomplished so far, but don't forget to take care of yourself too." Emma nodded, feeling a warmth spread through her chest at his words. "I know. It's just. Sometimes it feels like there's so much pressure. Like if I stop for even a second, everything will fall apart." "You're doing great, Emma," Liam said, his voice calm and reassuring. "But you don't have to carry all of this by yourself. You've got people who care about you, people who believe in you, including me." Emma's heart fluttered at his words. She had always been independent, always so used to carrying the weight on her own. But with Liam, it felt different. He wasn't just someone offering help out of obligation. He truly believed in her, in what she was capable of. And that belief was something she hadn't realized she needed so much until now. "Thank you, Liam," Emma said softly, her voice barely above a whisper. "I don't think I could have come this far without you." Liam smiled, but there was something more in his eyes now, something deeper. "You're welcome," he said, his hand brushing hers lightly on the table. "But remember, this is your journey. I'm just here to help guide you, if you'll let me." For a moment, the world around them seemed to fade away. It was just the two of them, sitting together in that quiet corner of the bar, and Emma felt a warmth spread through her, both from the inside and from Liam's touch. She had spent so long doubting herself, afraid of taking that leap. But now, with Liam by her side, she felt like she could finally see a future that was full of possibility. As the night stretched on, Emma realized something she hadn't fully acknowledged before. Her dreams were no longer just dreams. They were becoming her reality, step by step. The studio, the community she wanted to create, it was all within her reach. And as long as she kept moving forward, she knew that anything was possible. When the evening ended and Emma said her goodbyes to Liam, her heart felt lighter than it had in weeks. She still had a long road ahead, but for the first time she wasn't walking it alone. With Liam's support, with his unwavering belief in her, she knew she was exactly where she was meant to be. As the days passed, Emma continued to pour her heart and soul into making her dream of the art studio a reality. With Liam's support, she had secured a small space in the heart of the city, a place that was raw and full of potential. She spent countless hours painting walls, organizing the layout, and making the space feel like it was hers. It wasn't much yet, but Emma could already see it in her mind: the workshops, the classes, the vibrant energy of people coming together to create and share. It was everything she had ever wanted. But even as she worked tirelessly, there were moments of doubt. The uncertainty of starting her own business was overwhelming, and the weight of responsibility felt heavy on her shoulders. She had always dreamed of this, but now that it was real, she wasn't sure if she was ready. What if it didn't work? What if people didn't come? What if she failed? There were so many questions, so many fears that plagued her at night. But every time those doubts crept in, she reminded herself why she was doing this: to create something meaningful, something that would last. And she wasn't going to give up. One evening, after another long day of work at the studio, Emma was sitting at her small desk, scribbling notes about future classes, when she heard the familiar sound of her phone buzzing on the table. She glanced at the screen and saw that it was a message from Liam. A small smile tugged at her lips as she read it. "I know it's been a busy week, but I was thinking we should celebrate your progress. Let me know when you have a free evening. I'd love to take you out for dinner. You deserve it." Emma's heart warmed at his words. She hadn't realized how much she had missed spending time with Liam, how much his support had meant to her. It wasn't just the business side of things that he had helped with, it was the emotional side too. He had been there for her through the highs and the lows, offering encouragement when she needed it most. The thought of sitting down with him, away from the studio and away from the pressure of it all, felt like just what she needed. She quickly typed a reply, agreeing to meet up, and a few hours later, she found herself sitting across from Liam at a cozy, dimly lit restaurant in the city. The atmosphere was intimate, a stark contrast to the hustle and bustle of her work life. And for the first time in a long while, Emma felt herself relax. They talked about everything and nothing about their favorite foods, their childhoods, and the books they were reading. It felt natural, like no time had passed since their first meeting. It felt good to just be herself, without the weight of the studio or the pressure of her dreams on her shoulders. As the evening wore on, Emma couldn't help but notice how easy it was to talk to Liam, how effortlessly they connected. She had always felt a little out of place in her own life, but with him, everything felt just right. There was no pretension, no hidden agenda, just two people enjoying each other's company. "I'm really proud of you, Emma," Liam said softly, his voice sincere as he leaned back in his chair. "I've seen how hard you've worked for this. You're making something incredible happen, and it's been amazing to watch." Emma's eyes met his, and for a moment, she felt vulnerable. She had never allowed herself to fully accept compliments like this before, but something about Liam's unwavering support made it easier to believe. "I couldn't have done it without you," she replied, her voice quiet but filled with gratitude. "You've believed in me when I didn't even believe in myself. I don't think I can ever thank you enough for that." Liam smiled, his eyes soft with affection. "You've always had it in you, Emma. I just gave you a little nudge in the right direction. You've done the rest on your own." As they continued talking, Emma felt a shift within herself. She realized that she wasn't just thankful for Liam's help with the studio, but for the way he had helped her grow as a person. He had shown her what it meant to believe in herself, to take risks, and trust that she was capable of so much more than she had ever imagined. When the evening came to an end, Liam walked Emma to her car, his presence still lingering in the quiet air between them. As she turned to say goodbye, Liam reached out and gently touched her arm. "Emma," he said, his voice soft but steady, "I know things have been moving fast, but I want you to know, I'm here for you no matter what. You've already accomplished so much, and I'm not going anywhere." Emma's heart skipped a beat as she looked up at him, her breath caught in her throat. She had always known Liam cared for her, but hearing those words made her realize just how much he meant to her. "Thank you," she whispered, her voice thick with emotion. As she drove home that night, Emma couldn't help but smile. She had come so far, and though the future was still uncertain, she knew one thing for sure: she wasn't facing it alone. With Liam by her side, she was ready to take on whatever came next. She had finally found the courage to chase her dreams, and with his belief in her, she knew she was destined to succeed. As Emma stood in front of the art studio on the morning of its grand opening, she couldn't help but feel a sense of awe. The past few months had been a blur of hard work, late nights, and endless preparation. She had spent so many hours painting the walls, organizing the space, and dreaming about this moment. Now, it was finally here. Her dream was a reality. The doors were open, and the first customers were starting to trickle in. She felt a mix of excitement and nervousness. What if no one showed up? What if this didn't work? But then, she remembered everything Liam had taught her. She had taken this leap with confidence, and now it was time to let go of the doubt. She had worked too hard to let fear take over. The space inside was alive with the energy of creativity. The studio was filled with color, from the vibrant paintings on the walls to the fresh canvases waiting for new masterpieces. Emma could see people gathered in different corners, chatting, sketching, and painting. This was what she had always wanted: a place where people could express themselves and feel at home, no matter their skill level. She could already tell that this was going to be something special. As the afternoon wore on, Emma found herself standing in the corner of the studio, watching everything unfold. She smiled to herself as she saw people laughing, sharing stories, and even encouraging each other with their art. It was more than she had ever imagined. This wasn't just a place for people to create, it was a community, a family of artists coming together to share their passion. She was so lost in the moment that she didn't notice Liam walking up behind her until she felt his presence beside her. He had been there for most of the opening, mingling with the guests and offering his support as always. But now, as he stood next to her, there was something different in the air. Emma looked up at him, and for a moment, she felt the weight of everything she had accomplished. The nervousness and doubt that had been present for so long had faded away. She was exactly where she was meant to be. "You did it, Emma," Liam said softly, his voice warm and filled with admiration. "This place is amazing. You should be so proud." Emma felt a rush of emotion at his words. She had worked so hard, and hearing his praise meant more than she could express. "I couldn't have done it without you," she replied, her voice thick with gratitude. "I never would have believed in myself this much if it weren't for you." Liam smiled, his eyes soft and sincere. "You had it in you all along, Emma. I just helped you see it." He paused for a moment, his gaze lingering on her. "I knew from the very beginning that you were capable of great things. This is just the start." For a moment, Emma simply stood there, taking in the energy of the room, the people laughing and creating around her. It felt surreal. This was the dream she had spent so long chasing, and it was finally happening. The realization hit her all at once. She had done it. She had built something from the ground up, something that meant more than just business. It was a space where people could find their voices, their creativity, and a sense of belonging. As the evening approached and the last few guests began to filter out, Liam walked up to her once again. "Hey," he said, his tone suddenly more serious. "I've been meaning to ask you something." Emma looked up at him, curious. "What is it?" He hesitated for a moment, as if choosing his words carefully. "I know things have been moving fast," he began, "but I want to be honest with you, Emma. I've seen how much you've grown, and I've seen the strength in you. I'm proud of everything you've accomplished. But more than that, I've realized that I want to be a part of your journey, whatever that looks like." Emma's heart raced as she looked at him. She could see the sincerity in his eyes, the vulnerability in his words. She had never expected this. She had always seen Liam as someone who had been there for her, someone who supported her in every step of her journey. But hearing him say this, it was a moment of clarity. "Liam," she said softly, her voice full of emotion, "I don't know what the future holds, but I do know one thing: I'm glad you're in it. You've been my anchor, my guide, and I don't want to lose that." Liam smiled, his eyes lighting up with warmth. "I'm not going anywhere, Emma. I'm here for you, and I always will be." As they stood there, in the quiet of the empty studio, Emma felt a sense of peace wash over her. She had come so far, and the journey was far from over. But with Liam by her side, she knew she was ready for whatever came next. Together, they would build something even greater, something that would change both of their lives forever. Months passed, and the art studio continued to flourish. Emma had built something real, something that not only reflected her dreams but also touched the lives of everyone who walked through its doors. The community she had hoped for was growing, and it felt more vibrant with each passing day. People came for the classes, for the workshops, for the sense of belonging they found in the space Emma had created. It was a place where artists could come together, share their passions, and inspire one another. Emma couldn't have asked for anything more. Her dream had become a reality, and it was more beautiful than she had ever imagined. But even as she saw her hard work paying off, there were moments when Emma still felt unsure. The fear of failure that had haunted her in the beginning still lingered in the back of her mind. What if the studio wasn't enough? What if it all came crashing down? She had come so far, but she knew that success wasn't guaranteed. There were still obstacles to overcome, and she had to keep pushing forward. But there was one thing that had become undeniable: Emma wasn't alone anymore. Liam had been by her side every step of the way, and with him, she felt like anything was possible. One evening, after another full day of managing the studio, Emma found herself sitting alone at her desk, going over the numbers and planning for the future. The studio was thriving, but there was always something more to be done. As she glanced up from her papers, she saw Liam standing in the doorway, his expression soft yet serious. He had been her rock through all of this, and in moments like these, she didn't have to say a word for him to understand what was on her mind. "You look like you could use a break," Liam said, walking into the room and sitting down across from her. He always knew when she was overworking herself, and she appreciated that more than she could put into words. Emma let out a soft laugh, running a hand through her hair. I guess I'm just trying to stay on top of everything. It's a lot, but I don't want to let anything slip. This place. It means everything to me. Liam nodded, his gaze never leaving her face. I know it does, and you've done more than I ever could have imagined. But you don't have to do it all by yourself. You've built something incredible here, and I'm proud of you. But you deserve to enjoy it too. Emma's heart swelled at his words, and for a moment she allowed herself to relax, to just be in the moment with him. She had always been so focused on making sure everything worked, on proving to herself and to others that she could make her dream come true. But Liam was right. She had built something beautiful, and it was okay to step back and enjoy the fruits of her labor. I know, she said softly. I just don't want to lose it. I don't want to let go of what we've built here. Liam reached across the table and gently took her hand, his touch grounding her. You won't lose it, Emma. You've worked hard for this, and you've created something that's meaningful. But you don't have to carry the weight of the world on your shoulders alone. Let me help. Let me be there for you. Not just in business, but in everything. For a moment, Emma just stared at him, her heart racing. She had never imagined that she could have someone like Liam by her side, someone who believed in her and her dreams as much as she did. He had been there for her from the very beginning, and as much as she had grown and accomplished on her own, she realized now that she had never truly had to do it alone. Liam had always been there, encouraging her, supporting her, and helping her see the potential she had inside her. I don't know what the future holds, Emma whispered, her voice thick with emotion. But with you by my side, I feel like anything is possible. Liam smiled, his eyes full of affection. That's because it is. Together, we can accomplish anything. Loshe. As they sat there, holding hands and sharing a quiet moment, Emma realized that everything she had, feared everything she had doubted, was nothing compared to the strength she had found in herself, and in the support of those who truly believed in her. The art studio, her dream, her future, it was all within reach. And with Liam by her side, she knew she could face anything that came her way. The road ahead was still long, but Emma was no longer afraid. She had created something real, something that mattered, and now she was ready for whatever came next. With love, with determination, and with the support of the people who cared about her, Emma knew that her journey was just beginning, and together, she and Liam would write the next chapter of their story, one that was full of love, hope, and the endless possibilities that awaited them.